brief. My name is Mark Joyce, and I'm here today on behalf of the Technology Association of Iowa. It's a pretty small budget item, but one we think is pretty significant, and that is the STEM internship program at the Economic Development Authority. You feel a little bit silly talking to you about STEM because we've done so much to support it and promote it. But I did want to tell you that we got that program off the ground with a $2 million recommendation from your office 2 years ago. We had a little bit of a confusion in the legislative session about what the match would be, the way it was worded. So the money did not revert. The $1 million that they ultimately did appropriate. We worked with the Rules Committee. We passed clarifying language last session with emergency rulemaking authority. I like to say it was to show you how everyone was on board because the emergency rulemaking authority, nobody balked at that. The program was implemented. The $1 million was made available. Applications were made September 1 of this year. And the $1 million was fully subscribed 5 weeks later. So we have, as a result, yeah, we have 216 interns across 26 Iowa companies. We know there's appetite for more. We do respect the budget caution that they're going to go through. So the department asked for an additional $1 million. We know it's robust. We know there's appetite for more, but given the circumstances, so we support the agencies. That's $1 million. It's $1 million. Just $1 million. Yes, correct. If you have any questions for me. We know it's good for Iowa, but in particular for the Technology Association of Iowa members, it's if they get a chance to have that kid in their business, they can when they offer the job, they stay. They stay. Correct. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Scott Newhart. I am the Executive Vice President, Association of General Contract, and AGC is a trade association of highway and municipal utility contractors. Our association feels we do have a great stake in prudent state budgeting and the expenditure of public funds. We're proud that Iowa ranks number 4 in a recent comprehensive review of how well states are run. And what attributed to that was low debt, strong credit rating, and a well-managed budget. AAA credit rating, or a rainy day fund equal to 10% of the state budget, and an A grade from the U.S. Public Interest Research Group all add up to solid financial footing for the people of Iowa. However, maintaining this status should not be taken for granted, and it requires ongoing fiscal leadership by both the government and the legislature. So that's your continued challenge. Regarding a specific budget proposal, AGC supports the DOT's request for $9.7 million for necessary staffing adjustments. That presentation was given to you yesterday. We have observed that in recent years, the practice of not providing additional funds to the department to fulfill collective bargaining agreements, and that situation could well lead to layoffs and decrease in services. AGC has a stake in the number of employees at DOT because we depend on timely action and review by the contract administration personnel as we do our work. And unless that is done rapidly in conjunction with our stage of the work, it could lead to big delays on the projects. Uh, and also, although the money comes from royalties tax, it is not designed to give employees raises, but it's frankly designed to insulate the department from staff functions. When I came to AGC 20 years ago, there were over 4,000 employees. Today, that number is 2,789. Much of that reduction is due to efficiencies and should be applauded, but cutting even further probably will have an adverse impact on highway construction, snow, public safety. In closing, thank you for signing the gas tax increase, and thank you for your leadership in avoiding bonding or general fund dollars for the highway program. AGC looks forward to working with you and the legislature on development of a responsible, sustainable state. Oh, I can't believe it slowed you down a little bit. Well, for that to happen, it requires a lot of cooperation on our side, and I would say the department has been great about involving us early, taking our ideas and how they can accomplish that goal in the time frame they've set. And I think you'll see. We just had one big package recently. Two more are coming up after the first of the year. Will probably be the final packages, and then I was just work. Well, probably by early spring. I think there's two lettings. Yeah.
Hello. First of all, thank you very much, Governor. Before we ask for more money, I want to thank you for what you did last year with the state authorization reciprocity agreement. This was an agreement that we needed desperately in education. Anytime we are training students across state lines, and obviously in the medical field, we are doing that, as well as the online classes that are expanding. And I sat in this room and watched you with the Attorney General come to a resolution to protect their student consumer protections. So thank you for that. Now on to what we need. First of all, you understand the importance of graduate medical education. A few years ago at your State of the State address, you put in place money for graduate medical education. First, I want to compliment Mr. Claybaugh from the Iowa Department of Public Health for the process that they have put in place. They have refined the criteria, and they now have a priority of family medicine as well as psych. We've just completed another round of RFP reviews. This time there were 5 very good proposals and requested funding of $7 million. So I think you'll be very pleased, and it is now public information with the family practice and the psych residencies that will now be put in place in our state thanks to that leadership. I certainly hope you continue to provide this funding, because we all know that if we can keep the students, the graduates in Iowa when they do their residency, they will be part of our state. It is public information. I believe there were 2 that were psych residencies, one at Mercy and one at Broadlawns and Unity Point together, came together for one, a very unique proposal. Both are excellent, and they have great plans for the future. Yes. We worked closely with Michael Muslow on some issues regarding medical school. And one issue, and I think it's interesting, Sean Robillard from the University of Iowa and Angela Franklin from DMU are both on the AAHC, Association of Academic Healthcare Centers. We attended a conference in September, and it was all on the politics of healthcare. And there's becoming a real trend for these offshore medical schools to buy residency slots and to buy rotation slots. Texas has done something very innovative with that, and I have that legislation. Would love to work with Michael or your designee to see if we couldn't take the lead on this in Iowa and shut them down, quite frankly. And I'll just close by saying, you didn't know it was going to be a dialogue here, but the Rural Physician Loan Repayment Plan originally put in place. Again, thank you, Governor. We hope you continue to fund that. 55% of the physicians in Iowa are 55 years or older. We have a map that I know you all love. We have some sincere shortage areas. So thank you.
My name is Logan Murray. I'm the legal clerk for David Edelman and Cornerstone Government Affairs, and I'm here representing Iowa Academy of Family Physicians. On behalf of the Iowa Family Physicians, we would like to thank the governor for his continued support on the Iowa Primary Care Loan Repayment Program. In 2012, you signed this program into law, and since 2013, you have allocated $1.6 million in the education budget. Since its inception, we have signed up 20 primary care physicians in the county. This is a private-public partnership with groups such as Unity Point Health, Farm Bureau, the Iowa Clinic, and Telligent all participating. This program removes one of the most significant barriers for physicians to practice primary care and strengthen the state's primary care infrastructure. Iowa has put in place an innovative physician supply line to the state's most underserved areas, removing one of the most significant barriers to physicians choosing to practice primary care and strengthening the state's primary care network, which will reduce hospitalizations and costly trips to the emergency room. Consolidated and robust loan repayment program targeted to increase the primary care workforce and the right investments to our medical students, our economy, and generations of Iowans to come. The state's appropriation is a smart investment. According to the Department of Labor, physicians are community economic engines that employ an average of 6.2 people, and primary care physicians generate $934,000 in economic impact. The Rural Iowa Primary Care Loan Repayment Program is established to be administered by the College Student Aid Commission for the purpose of providing loan repayments for medical students who agree to practice as physicians in service equipment areas for 5 years and meet the following requirements. To be eligible, an individual must be enrolled full-time and receives a recommendation from the University of Iowa College of Medicine or Memorial University Osteopathic Medical Center in a curriculum leading to a doctorate of medicine degree or a doctor of osteopathy degree. Contingent on funding, 8 students from the University of Iowa and 8 students from Memorial University will be accepted into this program. Under this agreement, the students shall fulfill the following requirements: complete the residency program with an Iowa-based residency program within 9 months of graduating from the residency program and receiving a permanent license, engage in full-time practice of medicine and surgery or osteopathic medicine and surgery, specializing in family medicine, pediatrics, psychiatry, internal medicine, or general surgery for a period of 60 consecutive months in a service commitment area. The amount of the loan repayment for an eligible student shall not be more than $50,000 annually for an eligible loan. The Commission shall not enter into more than 16 agreements annually. 50% of the agreements shall be entered into by students attending each of the universities. A service commitment area is defined to mean a city in Iowa with a population of less than 26,000, that is located more than 20 miles from a city with a population of 50,000. I believe it's the 1.6 million that was produced. Thank you for you guys' ongoing support. Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Well, I'm here as an independent person representing myself, and I'll be the shortest one here today, I'll bet. I'm here on behalf of EPA overreach. It's my concern that the EPA's Clean Power Plan is an overreach. It's an example of the ends justifying the means. NERA, private consulting firm, said that these guidelines go into effect, it will raise the average power bill in the United States for the average person 33%. 27 states have already filed the lawsuit to delay implementation. I'm urging you, I'm asking for money, that Iowa become the 28th state. That's my feeling. I have that on page 5. Highest in the nation. So you're open-minded to joining the lawsuit? Thank you very much. You don't need any more documentation, do you? You'll take it.
Good afternoon, Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Director, and Mr. Chief of Staff. My name is Nicole Crane, and it's my pleasure today to represent the 1,500 Iowa companies that are members of the Iowa Association of Business and Industry. Just for reference, ABI members employ more than 310,000 Iowans in all 99 counties. Thank you for the opportunity to share brief comments for your consideration in drafting the proposed state budget for the coming year. I want to say thank you to you and members of the General Assembly for your hard work in putting Iowa's state budget and finances back on a sound and sustainable track. You don't get a lot of attention for that work, and we really appreciate it. It's important to Iowa businesses, and it's a big deal to ABI members. The ability to know with some consistency where state finances are headed is important as businesses are trying to make plans to expand facilities and expand hiring. So again, thank you for that. We know the budget this year will be tight, and we appreciate your dedication in submitting a thoughtful budget that will fulfill commitments and keep the budget balanced. The principles for sound budgeting that you have implemented as governor have paid off, and we want to continue to encourage you and members of the General Assembly to take those principles into consideration. Finally, we want to say thank you for your leadership on workforce issues. Workforce is ABI's #1 priority. It's also the #1 issue we hear from members as we travel across the state. I know that you all travel across the state as well, and you hear it all the time. So your administration's continued support and focus on helping both students and adults be prepared for the workforce is wonderful. ABI looks forward to working with you and members of the General Assembly this coming session to continue to invest in education and workforce. So in closing, again, let me say thank you. Your leadership is appreciated, it's important, and it has made a difference. Thank you again.
here on behalf of Iowa Healthcare Association today. As you know, Iowa Healthcare Association represents 470 long-term care facilities, assisted living programs, and home health organizations in Iowa that serve over 75% of Iowa's Medicaid residents. First, we want to thank you for recommending full rebasing in FY 2016 for Iowa's frail elderly on Medicaid in nursing homes across the state. Although the legislature was only able to appropriate half of your recommendation, it is greatly appreciated and was critically necessary because these providers of Medicaid services had not had a full recalculation of their rates for more than 3 years. As you know, during that time, wages and federal regulations have driven the cost to provide quality care higher. And with the implementation of managed care, it is essential that rebasing be included in the nursing facility rate that will become the floor for the MCOs. This is why IHCA members will be coming back to the legislature in 2016 requesting the remainder of your FY 2016 recommendation. So we will need an additional $15 million. That just gets us to our cost for the last 3 years. Our members realize that a significant portion of the savings to be realized by managed care will come from reducing eligibility and access to long-term care. They understand the need to stabilize Iowa's Medicaid budget and have been working with the managed care organization since last January to prepare for a smooth transition. Given that they estimate that approximately 15 million of the 51 million in MCO savings in FY16 will come from long-term care, it is critical that they enter the program with a rate that reflects more closely the current cost of caring for these Medicaid residents. If not, obviously the costs will be shifted to the private pay residents, and we know that you don't want that either. We are pleased to report that the transition to managed care for our members has been going smoothly. IHCA appreciates the working relationship with the Iowa Medicaid Enterprise and DHS during this transition period. Many, if not most, of our members have signed contracts with MCOs, and ICA has taken the initiative to hire a director of managed care ongoing to help our providers as they work through this new system. As the state's partner in providing quality care to thousands of frail elderly Iowans, that's hard to say, we request your continued support of your full rebasing recommendation for FY 2016. And we also appreciate continuing to work with the department on making sure that our rate is accurately set, because we are one of the providers that does not have our rates set yet. But we look forward to continuing the dialogue that we're having with Michael and Nick and the department and IME to make sure our rate is set to reflect the rebasing that was passed this year. We will continue to work with you and all of the folks I just said in the months ahead to ensure quality care is provided to Iowa's growing elderly population. Ensuring access to and the highest level of care by outstanding caregivers continues to be the mission of the Iowa Healthcare Association. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. John Steinman, Executive Director of the Iowa Chamber Alliance. As you know, we're the 16th largest chamber and economic development organizations across the state of Iowa. Just wanted to take a moment today to thank you for your fiscal leadership and the tone that was it has been set over the course of the last 5 years in having balanced budgets. It has an impact on our state's economy. We released a study 1 year ago that we commissioned from Deloitte that showed that one of the leading factors in economic growth and attracting private investment in economic development is in fact having a state with a healthy budget. And we're very pleased that our state has its very municipal is healthy. It's a very important point. That said, we do recognize that there are budget pressures. You know, we're as in tune to those as anyone else in the coming legislative session. That in mind, we do have some priorities that we want to make sure are looked at as we head into the session. Chief among them, making sure that even in a difficult budget year, that we don't lose track that economic development programs and incentives actually help grow our economy. We need to maintain the levels that we have seen for the last couple of years, and those incentives We also want to make sure that there's appropriate funding, tax credits, and additional incentives. We are looking at a new policy measure that you actually announced last year in your inaugural address, biochemical tax credit that we're fiercely advocating for, and look forward to that discussion and hopeful success in Iowa producing states and build on the 35-year legacy of agricultural state in the state of Iowa. We view that as a transformation. Beyond that, we do keep close track of workforce issues. It's in fact our priority this year. In there, we want to make sure that there are opportunities that are seized upon to bring alignment to workforce issues such as community attraction, where there's already money that's being spent, but it be spent more efficiently by county programs. Excited about the discussion that took place last year on those policies this year. Furthermore, we want to make sure that we continue down the right track in education, continue the reforms that are taking place, and we're confident that there's common ground that can be found for sustainable long-term education. We also want to make sure that we continue to invest in our infrastructure, in the broadband legislation, the Connect Every Acre program last year that was thankfully adopted but not funded at a 100% level. We think it would be positive to fund programs in there that allow for the grants so we can achieve that mission, but also so that then we can focus on regulatory issues that can continue to help us drive our broadband investment in the private sector. So these are some of the top line issues that we're tracking. I should say there's one more in the workforce zone that we raised last year, and we're going to continue to raise this year. There's so many very positive workforce programs taking place at the state and local level, as well as in the private sector and within our universities. However, we don't necessarily know that they're all in alignment. And what we're proposing is that we capitalize on the work of the UGA grant, and that we commission a Battelle-like study specific to workforce issues so that we can have that 10-year blueprint for what Iowa needs to be doing for workforce to make sure that we're putting our money in the right direction, that the programs are actually working with each other and spending our money in the most efficient way. And we believe that that effort can be a public-private funded initiative. Great. Thank you.
Good evening, folks. Thank you for the opportunity to come in tonight and speak. As you know, I represent a variety of business groups and employers in the state. Echo some of the same comments that we've heard today. Appreciate your responsible budgeting practices. You've ensured the needs of Iowa are taken care of, and you funded our priorities. Secondly, I would like to stress is you take care of the taxpayer. And I think that needs to be a big part of this equation. The folks I represent are big taxpayers and big employers in the state. That matters. Having that kind of environment, as Don noted and others, is very important. And just as an anecdote, as I was meeting one of my employer groups today, told him I stood up and back and said, "Tell the governor he did a good job getting us out of debt and keep us there." I said I will pass that along at the meeting tonight. With that, thank you again for your good work, and we look forward to working with you this next session. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor, Lieutenant Governor. I'm here on behalf of the Iowa Biotechnology Association, and I would start by echoing the comments that Mr. Joyce made about the STEM issue. That's one of our priorities as well. But specifically wanted to talk briefly today about the Renewable Biochemical Production Tax Credit, which I know is a priority, and we want to thank you for that. As you know, it's in Battelle recommendations. It presents a great opportunity for Iowa in a number of areas to create not only jobs, but real brick and mortar production facilities. And one of the great things that we found as we visited with legislators upstairs on that is that as you look at the map of where potential production could happen, it gets outside of the usual suspects of Des Moines and the Quad Cities and Cedar Rapids and into some smaller communities in the state. So I think it's really cool from that perspective. We focused specifically last year as we worked with the Economic Development Authority on making a production tax credit limited, targeted, and budget conscious. As we worked through that, we found out that maybe our definition of budget conscious was a little bit the Senate. As you know, there have been some recommended changes this year, and we're looking at those. We're fully supportive of that. We've worked together, and we've continued to try to grow the coalition over the interim to build support in the legislature for that. We've had a lot of meetings, particularly with senators trying to move the ball with those folks. And you may or may not be aware, we do have a white paper that we've commissioned that'll be coming out, I think, in January. So we'll have some academic links to put under that as well. So we definitely support that ongoing tax credit proposal, which I think is proposed for the coming year for $10 million a year for 10 years. Thank you for that, and hopefully we can give you the help upstairs to push that across the legislature this year. Thank you.
Governor, Lieutenant Governor Wes Ericke, President and CEO of the Iowa Gaming Association, who represents 19 state-regulated commercial casinos. Maybe something to note that during next year's legislative session, we're going to celebrate our 25th anniversary of Riverboat Gaming. We were the first casinos in the country outside of Atlantic City and in Nevada to open in April of 1991. So just a quick bit of history, going back with 1989, when we were coming off the heels of the farm crisis, and when they adopted this, they really said this initiative is intended to be a catalyst for economic development, to create tourism dollars, and generate great jobs. I like to think that in these last 24 years, and soon to be 25, that we've exceeded those expectations in an extraordinary way. Right now, we have $21.6 billion that we've provided the state in gaming tax revenue that's been used for a lot of visionary infrastructure, environmental and cultural fairs, corrections, regions, Division Iowa, a lot of great projects. Also in those 25 years, these 19 casinos are now collectively Iowa's largest tourism attraction, with nearly 22 million visitors, and 60% of that revenue comes from out of state. So that's an encouraging thing as well for our budget. I think we've, like I say, we've evolved proactively with a $1 billion annual economic impact. The Racing Gaming Commission puts 4 factors out there every year: wages and benefits, about 9,500 employees that are creating good jobs. That was intended back at the time. The Buy Iowa First program, we now purchase 89% of all the possible things that can be purchased in a casino are purchased within our state with Iowa-based companies. So that ripple effect of that is extraordinary. About $309 million last year, as a matter of fact. The charitable grants to thousands of worthy charitable organizations, about $84 million last year. And the gaming tax revenue, about $381 million total with state and local. Got a couple of charts here that maybe just be a benefit for you as well. So we're trying to strive to remain a stable industry. And certainly, we're entertainment dollars, and when you have a depressed ag economy like we do, that has a ripple effect in the communities. It can affect us as well. Storms like last weekend, right around Thanksgiving, can also have an impact. But we still like to think we're remaining a pretty stable industry. One One issue, though, I want to just point out just very briefly that if you're all familiar with, you get like a coupon, like say $20 off at like Kohl's or Yonkers or Hy-Vee. Say an example, like you're going to spend $100, you get $20 off. The business only gets taxed on that $80 because that's just there's no cash flow value. There's no value to that coupon. Well, we provide a $20 coupon. We're taxed on that, and arguably we shouldn't be, but we are. And so I think just as a place to start. For this next year, we've got, I think, pretty good bipartisan support. So we want to heighten your awareness as well that we would cap the amount that we are currently paying this year. It's $27 million that goes to the RIF, with the idea that that's zero impact to your budget, you and the legislator's budget, because that's the amount, so that would be factored in. And then anything above that potentially in a future year would, that we potentially would have in promotional play, we would reinvest that in our properties. So that's something we're proposing this year, is just to cap that amount. Appreciate your consideration and support for that. And that's what we're going to be trying to strive for upstairs as well. Thank you, Governor. Up, but they had to set it up right. It was the first in the country outside, and they indeed did, and it's been a model for a lot of other states. So, laws back in time, but all kind of evolved into what we are today.
Thank you, Governor, Lieutenant Governor. I'm Matt Ady here on behalf of Tyson Foods. And first of all, on behalf of Tyson, we want to commend you, your staff, and your state agencies on preparing the budget. 24/7 Wall Street, a financial news website, recently listed the state as the 4th most well-run state in the country. Among the state's, the attributes that they cited were low debt, strong credit rating, a well-managed budget, and adequate reserve funds. Thank you for your leadership on all these. Tyson employs over 8,000 Iowans and appreciates very much the opportunity to do business in a well-managed state. We also appreciated your leadership during the bird flu outbreak earlier this year. We believe that having a sound fiscal policy allows the state some flexibility to allocate resources in cases of natural disasters like bird flu. Again, I want to thank you and the administration for helping on that. And hopefully we won't go through that again. But thank you for your leadership, and have a Tyson. Thank you.
Lieutenant Governor, good evening. My name is Matt Steinfeld with Iowa Farm Bureau. Farm Bureau members support a fiscally responsible state budget. Would like to thank the governor for his budgeting practices over the past 5 years. We would also like to commend the governor and the Iowa legislature for their investments in water quality and soil conservation programs over the past several years. Iowa has seen record funding for several programs, and these investments reflect the governor's commitment to helping farmers continue to advance water quality and soil conservation efforts. Once again this year, conservation and water quality funding will be a top priority for Farm Bureau members. These programs include the Water Quality Initiative, or the Iowa Nutrient Reduction Strategy, the Conservation Cost Share Program, and the Egg Drainage Well Closure Program. These programs operate on a cost share basis, and the money invested in these programs are matched dollar for dollar by farmers across the state. Additionally, many of these programs are able to leverage other funds. For instance, the Iowa Nutrient Reduction annual report detailed over $105 million used for programs related to the strategy, even though the appropriation was $9.75 million. With the state support, Iowa farmers will continue to make progress under the Water Quality Initiative. Similar to the tremendous progress Iowa farmers have accomplished in reducing soil erosion over the past 3 decades. These successful soil erosion efforts were done through a voluntary adoption of practices and structures designed to reduce runoff and sediment loss. As technology and science continue to evolve in the areas of nitrate reduction and edge of field practices, we will continue to see progress in nutrient reduction. Successful soil erosion efforts serve as a model for farmers as they continue to advance water quality efforts. We understand the budget challenges that lie ahead for this year's legislative session, and we will continue to work to adequately fund these programs. In closing, Farm Bureau members appreciate the governor's support of these programs in past years and look forward to working with the governor and lieutenant governor again this year as we advance these programs. Thank you for your time. Yep.
I'll do my best to be brief. How's that? I only have a 60 slide deck to go through, and then we'll be able to move through things. You're speaking of our own kind, and Doug Strike, Carney and Appleby Law Firm. I'm here on behalf of a couple different clients. First, the Iowa State Bar Association, and second, on behalf of the Iowa Biodiesel Board. First, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for what both of you have done for the state over the past 5 years. What you've been able to do for the budget, creating jobs, helping the state move forward during tough budget times and tough financial times in the country. It's been very beneficial to all of us, and Iowa stands as a leader in the country because of the sacrifices and time that you've been committed to bringing this about. With that being said, a couple different things I'd like to talk to you tonight about. The first is a request that's coming to you from the judicial branch regarding funding for computers and furniture and other necessities at the Polk County Courthouse. As you know, Polk County passed an $81 million bond referendum to redo the courthouse and some associated buildings. Not included in that, because it's not part of the infrastructure, is replacing the desks and computers, the IT systems that are involved in that. Because of the nature of the construction and trying to keep the courthouse functioning as best that they can, that has to be done through phases. And as the phases go through, if you do not have the requisite items to move from phase 2 to phase 3, then phase 3 can't start. If you don't have the things from phase 3 to phase 4, you can't move forward with that. Right now, we're in a transition between phase 2 and phase 3 coming up in April 2016. So far, the legislature has not funded, but it's been included in the judicial branch's request, the funding for the necessities for the desks and IT. Because it has not been funded, without that, there will be a significant slowdown in moving from phase 2 to phase 3. The Bar Association's Board of Governors has voted to support the request of the judicial branch. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Bar Association to ask for your support for their funding request. They're going to be asking for, they've already asked for $6,718,000, which would be one-time money. This is not an ongoing expense, to cover the costs of installing the IT and the desks. If you were to go down to the Polk County Courthouse, which all good lawyers do, you would see that it is comprised of turn-of-the-century tables and desks that, and not turn of the 21st century. I'm a relic of another time. Yes. So you walk in and you see giant tables and partitions that are keeping you from being able to go in, not the way we would set up an office today. Those items don't fit into the offices that are being constructed. The second request on behalf of the Bar Association, we've been around for several years asking for this, we'll continue to have discussions, would be to support a $5 increase for the reimbursement rate for indigent defense. Right now, lawyers are compensated, depending on the type of case that they're dealing with, between $60 and $70 per hour while handling these cases that have been assigned to them because they've signed up for contract work. We've recently completed our every 5-year study of finances and economic impact of the Bar Association members. Currently, $60 to $70 doesn't cover the overhead that's being reported by practicing lawyers across the state. We have not had a change in the reimbursement rate for indigent defense since 2006. We want to make sure that stays on your radar. Should the opportunity present itself, we'd like you to entertain factoring in an increase for that. And finally, one that I know you've had conversations recently about, moving to the Iowa Biodiesel Board. As you know, we're coming up on the sunset of the 1 cent fuel tax that goes to the underground storage tank fund. A portion of that money, approximately $3 million, goes to the Renewable Fuels Infrastructure Program. On behalf of the Iowa Biodiesel Board, we would appreciate it if you would consider and support including an appropriation from the Rebuild Iowa Infrastructure Fund of $3 million, a standing appropriation from that, so that we could have continuity of funding and continue to do the good things that that program has done. With that, believing I'm the end of the line, I will